Well, hey guys, how's it going? Beside me I have a Laval No. 9 cream separator that I've restored, almost fully restored. I still have a small leak in the centrifuge, but other than that, this thing runs incredible. I picked this up a few years ago from an antique store in Yotoshey, Kansas called the Rusty Nail, and the guy knew that I restored cream separators, and he knew that this one was special, and it is. It's in amazing shape. The motor works great. The tin and steel it's still in really nice shape. There's some scratches from normal wear, but this thing was kept in immaculate condition. And going into the skim milk reservoir, I'm using a McCormick Deering bucket milker. And going into the cream, I have no idea who made it. It's just a cream bucket my wife got me for my birthday. So we're gonna make some raw butter today with I'm going to estimate this from the 50s sometime. But I just wanted to give this thing a try. Normally I use my old McCormick Deering hand crank for a good workout, but I feel like I'm getting lazy now that I'm using an electric cream separator. This is, I don't know. It's cool, I guess. I'd much rather hand crank. I just wanted to see if it worked, so I thought I'd invite you guys along to see. So anyway, we're going to warm up our milk. I'll take you for a tour of this thing here in a second. We're going to warm up our milk to temperature and pour it in, and you'll get to see it work. It should be fun. Okay, we've got a reservoir loaded up with milk, and we are going to fire this baby up here in a second. See if I got everything on straight. Double check this. Everything feels good. Plug it in. You can hear it winding up. It'll kind of go through some gurgling and rattling and such. Purrs like a kitten, baby. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let it go and see what happens. So the skim milk's coming out first. And there comes the cream. So you can see the float here is pressing up against the spigot, and that is kind of slowing down the flow of milk. And the cream is coming out nice and ready. So the one thing I'm a little, I don't know, why I don't really like the Laval as much is because they cover the top side of the chute, and it's a little more difficult to get it nice and perfectly clean. And you can see the color difference between the cream and the skim milk. The skim milk is just really super white. The cream is much more rich. There we go. Alright, so we just got done with the cream separator, and I'm going to take this centrifuge apart and show it to you. There's a lock nut on the top. I screwed this down pretty tight. Set that over here, and then here's your top cover. And cream will collect around the outside. You got to get that cleaned off really well, but I wanted to show you these plates and how this works. This is the reason why you want to heat your milk up pretty good, because if you don't, your cream will just clog these plates up. So all of these plates spin, and they have these little holes on them, and that is what allows the cream to rise to the top, and the skim milk flies out the side. You gotta wash all these off. That's the only bad part about these old cream separators is washing all the plates. I just rinse them off with hot water, and then I'll soak them and put some dishwashing soap to kind of cut any oil or greasy cream that's on there. Glue that water top. But it's very important to let this thing dry all the way, because you can't find these plates anymore, and if they get rusty, you're in trouble. So it's a good idea to just be patient, let it dry all the way, and then put it back together a few hours later, and and then your cream separator will stay in awesome shape. So just take that little tip for what it's worth. We're going to take our cream here in a second once I get this cleaned up, and we'll make some butter real quick. For the sake of time, I would love to use my hand crank daisy butter churn, but we're just going to use a We're going to use a KitchenAid mixer, and we're just going to pour the cream in. I think I have just enough to do one big massive batch today. Generally, I will refrigerate my cream to make it cold. I think it goes a little bit faster when it's colder, but today we're just going to do this. So I like to turn it on a good medium speed. And what the trick you're trying to acquire, the skill you're acquiring when making your own butter is sound. What you're listening for is the sound of the whisk to change density. The butter will change into 3 different phases. Right now it's just loose cream, and then it will turn to whipped cream. You'll notice it'll kind of get thicker, and you'll hear a cloppy sound. And then once that buttermilk separates out of that whipped cream, then you have the beginnings of butter. And the thing you have to be very careful about in this, with the KitchenAid, is when you hear that separation happen, the buttermilk will go flying everywhere if you don't slow the mixer down. It will literally blow up all over your counter. So you can't just leave it and let it go. You have to stay close by so that you catch it when it changes at the right time. I haven't done it warm in a while, but my guess is it'll take about 6 to 7 minutes. If your dairy cow has some sort of mastitis, that time that it takes to form the butter will get a lot longer. Certain types of mastitises can make it take 25 minutes to set up. And that's how you know you need to go back to your dairy cow and figure out, you know, is there a problem here? And solve it that way. That's an easy way to kind of tell. If there's nothing showing up in the strainer, like right now there's nothing showing up in our strainer, but that doesn't mean that certain different bacterias that aren't necessarily harmful to you, but it just changes the bacterial count of the milk. And since this is not pasteurized milk, you're constantly trying to manage the bacterial load in the milk, because really you want that diversity of biota to enter your microbiome when you consume raw milk. That's kind of the whole point of having raw milk. The thought that goes through your head is, Matt, aren't you kind of behind the times here? Can't you just go to the store and buy butter? Like, why are you making it yourself? Why are you going to all this extra work? Well, a few reasons. We've genetically tested our dairy cows, and we know what casein protein they produce. We have one that is an A1, A2, and we have one that is an A2, A2, and the A2, A2 is the one we're really after. Conventional milk that you buy at the grocery store is generally almost always A1, A1, because it all comes from Holstein cows, which are all generally A1, A1, and that protein is very hard for humans to digest. So people that are lactose intolerant, you may not be lactose intolerant, you just may have a hard time with the A1 protein. Or it could be the pasteurization process. As I told you earlier, we don't pasteurize our milk. We are on the side of Beauchamp, the French scientist from the late 1800s who was in battles with Pasteur. As you notice, the whole rest of the world went with the germ theory of Louis Pasteur, so now we try to sterilize everything, and here we are 150 years later, and well, maybe that other French guy was right. Maybe we hadn't ought to do that, because now that everything's tried to be sterilized and we have numerous kids with food allergies and this sort of thing, we're noticing that it's all coming back to, yes, that's right, not having a diverse bacteria in our guts. It's never too late to learn, all right? So the thing about grass-fed raw butter is, if you go out to California and Los Angeles, people are paying like $35 a pound to get a hold of raw grass-fed butter. Why does it matter it has to be raw? Well, like I said before, we want that bacteria. We want that. We welcome that as a healthy nourishment to our bodies to help us digest a more diverse load of food. The other thing is grass-fed. Why grass-fed when it comes to dairy? a grain-fed animal takes on a different amino acid profile, fatty acid profile than a grass-fed animal. The pH of the rumen changes, and therefore a grain-fed animal will have a different nutritional makeup in the milk than a grass-fed animal. My own personal preference, I believe, cows are fermenting vats, and God made them to have grass. It's just my personal preference. It doesn't mean if you feed your cows grain and you're wrong. No, that's what you do. I do it for the reason of the nutrition, and the biggest part of this is conjugated linolenic acid, which is a huge supplement that a lot of doctors are turning to for people to begin natural ways to begin fat loss. It helps in aiding the beginning stages of autophagy, which is basically cell death or apoptosis, cell death. CLA is a very important nutrient that we're just not getting enough of, and I discovered it when I was doing kind of my whole workout binge thing, and I wondered where the best form to get it nutritionally instead of having to go to GNC to buy it. Well, it turns out grass-fed raw dairy. Who could have known? So anyway, this is what I want to choose to feed to my kids, and it makes a big difference. It's all in the details. So that's why I do this, because I want to be a biohacking, extremely healthy farmer, and I want to be at the cutting edge of nutritional research and how I raise my animals, what kind of minerals and supplements, and how I manage the soil to feed my animals. I want them to be the absolute healthiest. Does that mean they're going to weigh the most? No. Does that mean I'll probably get the most money for them if I take them to market? No. I don't care about any of that stuff. It doesn't matter to me. I am 100% all consumed by the healthiest animal that responds in nature the way it was intended to, without me messing it up and getting in the way and jamming it up with all kinds of shots and antibiotics. How can I manage the animal the way it was designed to live? And if I put it in an environment that it's not designed to be in, then yes, I'm forced to use all kinds of vaccines and antibiotics. If I manage it the right way, there's no need for it. Yes, have I used antibiotics? You bet. Because it was my fault that I mismanaged the animal. That was my fault. Antibiotics come as a very last resort to mismanagement, in my opinion. So, take it for what it's worth. With that long-winded explanation, let's make some butter, shall we? Okay, so now you can see the butter has changed consistency and it's much, much thicker. So now it's going to transition from this whipping cream, and in a second it's going to turn into butter, and you'll hear the motor kind of bog down once it gets a little harder. And that is when you want to turn your speed down before things go crazy. So now you can see it's starting to rotate with it, and now the buttermilk's going to start to separate. So now I'm going to start to turn it down a little bit. And once you hear it sloshing, that's when you're in the danger zone, which is getting close. Okay, so here the butter is set up, and I've just run cold water over it and sloshed through it with my hands for 5-10 minutes, and just kind of wash the buttermilk out of it. The buttermilk is the agent for rancidity. That is what will make your butter go bad. So the better you wash all... Yeah, this butter has been sitting on our countertop for weeks, and it doesn't go bad as long as you get all the buttermilk out. So you can see the color difference. This is still very white, meaning that the temperature is a little warmer, therefore it's a little harder for the buttermilk to escape. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pour some ice on top to really expedite the cooling process. And you can go do some other stuff around whatever, and then come back and dump the ice off, and then you will go back and rinse it, and then that is what the color difference is. The beta carotene, that is what gives it that really yellow orangish tinge, which is the kind of stuff that gives your hair and your fingernails biceps. I mean, it makes them super strong, so we definitely want that.
So after we get this done, we'll shape it and finish washing it, and then we'll salt it, and then we're done. So that is how you make fresh, raw, on the farm butter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be enjoying this with my children tonight for dinner. So you guys take care, and if you want to try some, come out to the farm sometime and do it. Catch you guys later. Bye.